every day is different in real estate. Come with me today as we go to a new construction event and we're going to teach agents how to work with home builders inside their business. Let's go. How many of you have had a client go to a builder and you get cut out of the deal? Raise your hand if that's happened. Okay, as much as you want to say that's the builder's fault, I'm going to tell you it's actually your fault. Mm-hmm. And here's why. You have not told your clients clearly enough or in a way that they can understand that they need to take you with them. So one of my favorite things to do working with builders is create content, and I know so many of you are going to say, oh my gosh, but I need permission from the builder to do this and this, or my broker is going to whatever. Okay, figure out how to make it fine with your brokerage. You got to figure out that piece. But I have a hard time understanding why any builder is sad if I am talking about their project on my social media. Why would we be sad? Am I 100% going to lose some deals where buyers go in without me? Absolutely. But I don't need to have every single deal for it to still make sense, right? So one of the things we want to do is talk about like how do you create social content that is beneficial for builders, beneficial for you, and beneficial for your clients. Okay? And there's a couple of different ways you can do this, whether you're building, how many of you are on YouTube and is anyone on YouTube? Is anyone building YouTube? No one? Okay. Is everyone kind of more on Instagram? Raise your hand if you're using Instagram primarily. Okay, if you're not, you are now. Well, you gotta pick one. I don't mind if it's YouTube. I think YouTube, the longevity of YouTube, the math on YouTube makes a ton of sense. If you haven't read the book YouTube Formula, go read it, and the data will blow your minds about how many eyeballs are on YouTube, and like the longevity of your content on YouTube is phenomenal. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you about it in terms of Instagram and how to work with builders on Instagram. Number one reason I love working with builders is they have beautiful homes. They have beautiful homes for you to film in, right? Beautiful homes. So aesthetically, it works really, really great. How many of you have filmed inside model homes? How many of you have filmed inside? Okay. I literally, when I started back in real estate, how long ago was it? My baby's 7, so more than 7 years ago. I started out by doing home tours every single Tuesday on my Instagram stories. This was so long ago that you had to like film them in the Instagram app, and they were only 15 seconds long. And they would and there was no like little story bubbles to like save highlights to. So like it lived for 24 hours and it died, right? But I would go and I would highlight different builders on my stories, and I would tour people through all of the model homes. And I would say, okay, this is built by Ashton Woods. This is built by Capital West. This is built by Toll Brothers. And I would tag the builder in my content so that they could see it. And I would say a lot of lovely things about the product. I would say, oh, it's located close to a freeway. Oh, this is in Gilbert. This is in Chandler. This is a great school district. This is a great price per square foot. I really like how the kitchen is laid out. By the way, what am I going to say next? If you're wanting to look at a new build home, it's important that you what?
Take your agent.
Take your agent with you if you want to be represented. The agent inside the model represents the builder. Right? And I would say that every single week. I want you to think about how cumbersome that actually was to do every single Tuesday. That meant every single Tuesday, I actually had to be in a house that I could tour through. How many of you have been that diligent in your Instagram? Okay, how many of you would like your Instagram to work better for you? Raise your hand if you would like deals coming into your DMs. Okay, I want you to remember that, because now it's so different and it's so much easier to catalog content on Instagram, right? Because now, like today, you're gonna have the opportunity to go and film through 2 model homes. You're gonna have the opportunity to film the pickleball courts and the pool and drive through the neighborhood. So theoretically, in less than an hour, You could film through all of those things, and you literally could create 10 to 15 posts from all of that content. And it's on your phone forever, right? It lives on your camera roll. So you now have this video library where it's like, oh, in 10 days when you're like, I need to post something, but I don't really have anything to post. Oh, let me go back to when I was touring through, right? So there's a couple of different pieces of content. I'm going to show you how to film. And then you guys are going to get to go and film it, and we'll help you guys. So the first piece of content, how many of you have seen my reels where I'm just literally like walking through a kitchen or I'm walking through a family room? Very, very simple. How many of you have seen those? Okay, I'm not posting them like that because I'm lazy. I'm posting them like that because the math on that works, right? And so your goal is to have increased views, right? So on that type of content, you need your video to be like 7 seconds or less. Okay, and the reason we're doing it like this, and then you're going to write a long form caption, and in that caption you're going to say, oh, this project is blah, 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 blah. All the information's right here. You're going to take that home with you so that you have it. Do you guys have a file full of builders information? If not, you should, right? So that you can remember what the price point is. Oh, these are starting around, right? I say that a lot. These are starting around $1 million. Okay, that's what these are starting around. They're starting around $1 million. Okay, so less than 7 seconds long, trending audio. Okay, if you're not sure how to find trending audio, use audio that's off of my reels. It's all trending audio. Just rip off and duplicate. Then the other one is your caption needs to be long form, because what happens is while they're reading that caption, one, you're giving them all the information, okay, which they need. They're looking for a house. Yeah, Laurel, say it. What's happening to the reel behind it?
Just looping.
It's looping, and what happens is as it's looping, that loop is really, really important because it's telling the Instagram algorithm, oh, Susan thinks this is like really important. She has watched this 10 times, which she has while she's reading the caption. Here's where it gets so freaking fun, is that then Instagram's like, oh, let me go show this to more people. And not just more people exactly like Susan. Who do you think knows you the best? Surprisingly, it's not your spouse. It's your Instagram. Instagram literally knows you better than your spouse does. I'm not joking, right? Because haven't you ever opened up your phone and you're like, oh, I was literally just talking about this. It's kind of scary, right? But you're like, I was literally just talking about this, right? And so that's how you end up getting more of the right people. You don't need a bunch of people that don't want what you have following you, right? You don't need all that. What you want is you want more people who want what you have following you, okay? So that is kind of like the short form reel that you should be using. The other thing that's going to be super, super important is your headline. The headline, the text on the reel is really, really important. Like, we don't just make this stuff up. You want to say, what does $1 million buy you in Gilbert, Arizona? What does moving to Gilbert look like? What does winter in Gilbert, Arizona looks like this? 3 things to do in Gilbert, Arizona, right? Do you see how it's like very localized? The reason we're going to do this is because there's key phrases that are being searched all the time. Moving to Gilbert, living in Gilbert are 2 very key phrases that use them in your headline, use them in your caption again and again and again and again. And I know you're going to be like, oh my gosh, well, I did that yesterday. Great, do it again today. Just like you sleep every night, you drink water every day, you maybe should go to the gym every day. You say the same phrases again and again because the repetition is actually really, really important, okay? And you know this, right? Because what commercial do you always see in the Super Bowl? What's commercial? It has horses in it. The Anheuser-Busch, right? The horses, every single Super Bowl. Why don't they just do something else? Isn't it kind of boring?
People wouldn't recognize it.
Right? That repetition,
The brand, yeah.
is actually what builds trust. Is they're like, oh my gosh, Laurel's always going to be talking about Gilbert. Laurel's always going to be talking about Gilbert, right? And they come to trust that consistency. So while I just picked Home Tour Tuesdays because that's when my youngest at the time, well, I had a baby, but my youngest was in preschool, like my 3rd, whatever, you got me. That's when he was in preschool. So that's why it was on Tuesday, because I needed him to not be with me. I literally have home tours Tuesdays with a newborn baby strapped to me. That's how consistent you have to be in your content if you want it to be working, right? Like I always say, the shortcut is the work. It is the work, right? So just being very, very consistent in it. Now, the other piece of content that I think is so, so great, and I think Kelly Ladwig does this type the best. If you don't follow Kelly Ladwig on Instagram, you should totally follow Kelly Ladwig.
Home on a Nashville Hill.
Home on a Nashville Hill is her headline, is her
tag.
Headline,
Hashtag or handle. Thank you.
Home on a Nashville Hill is her handle, but she has mastered this with builders, where on her stories, she will tour you through luxury homes all of the time. And because she has built a custom home, she'll say, oh, well, these are big sliding doors. These doors are really expensive. Okay, doors like this are very, very expensive. And if you have someone moving from Washington or Utah or Wyoming, they don't totally get why do we have these doors? So take that opportunity in your stories where it's a little bit more long form and you're touring them through and you say, hey, this is really, really valuable. For 6 months of the year, these doors can actually be open, right? This, and then you're gonna say, because these are included, right? As a standard, the big sliding doors.
Sliders are, but not the total.
So yeah, so you'll say to them, hey, this is an upgrade. And what I'm going to say when I'm touring them through, as when I'm hoping you all know this when you're working with builders, is you need to know which upgrades they need to include and which ones they can add in later. Anything structural like this, you 100% do with the builder, right? So you're gonna tell your audience that, hey, the standard door is this big, but I'm telling you what, you can upgrade to this big, huge slider, and 100% you need to do that upgrade, right? If you wanna change out the carpet later, great. Change out the carpet later. But we're not changing out big structural doors like that, right? And so it positions you as the authority, and that you're going to tell them, right, in the same breath that I'm telling them, you for sure have to do this, I'm going to take something else and be like, hey, listen, don't worry about your carpet. If you want to replace your carpet later, great. Do the base carpet and replace it later, right? Because they need to trust your judgment on some of those things. They're not even thinking about the carpet. But the fact that you say, hey, don't worry about that, they're like, oh, okay, cool. She's not going to tell me to upgrade everything, right? That builds trust with them, okay? So as you're going through on stories, think about the things that are unique to the home, right? These homes have really tall ceilings. Okay, what's the standard door size?
8 feet.
8 feet. Okay, I knew they were going to include 8 feet doors because he's included 8-foot doors for a very long time. And the standard door size is 6'8". So you're going to go through and you're going to say, hey, these 8-foot doors are included. This is the standard door. Having an 8-foot door actually makes your home look instantly upgraded. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but legitimately, it does. So tell all your new build clients to always do an 8-foot door, because you're not moving in and then changing the door size. Like literally no one's doing that, right? That is an upgrade you have to do with the builder. And it like I know when I go into houses and it's a 6'8" door, I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. Like I'm literally not buying the house. That's it, right? If it doesn't have 8-foot doors, I'm not buying it, right? And so especially on this product line where the appeal is, hey, you have this big custom home, right? Who's buying $1 million townhouse? Who's buying that? Who do you think is buying it? What's your buyer demographic on $1 million townhouse?
Empty nesters.
Okay, yeah, throw it out. What's your ideas? Empty nesters. Retiring. It might be a second home, right? They might be coming from colder weather, or they might be living here and downsizing from a big custom like dream home, right? So what are they used to?
Luxury.
Luxury, right? But they're starting to value convenience over like having the acre lot and the landscaper and the cleaning lady and the 6,000 square feet, right? So when you're going through new builds, you have to ask yourself, any like open houses or whatever you're walking, whenever you're touring, go into it knowing like, okay, who is the ideal buyer for this? What is kind of the demographic, right? Because if I'm walking a $500,000 house that's smaller, I'm going to start talking to someone like Tanner's age, right? Hi, Tanner's over here on the camera for me. I'm gonna start talking to like a first-time home buyer. Oh, this is a great property. This is why, da 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 da. You could keep this forever. You could turn it into a rental. You could do this, right? So what I say is gonna start to shift. Okay, so today we're gonna head over there. Do you guys have any questions for me? Or are you guys ready to start filming? If you have questions, raise your hand. I will answer whatever.
I have a thing. How many of you are sitting here listening to her thinking, I totally feel uncomfortable doing this on film and showing up on my Instagram? Yeah. So I mean, because she's so good at coming down to our level for sure, you know.
Oh, geez.
You are.
Yeah, said the queen.
No,
not true.
No, but it's true. There are baby ways to step this up. You can, and we'll show that too. Maybe that'll be. We'll do, what is it, like the workout girls, where it's like, this is the high impact, and then here is the low impact. You know, I could be the low impact girl over here as we go through, and maybe we'll do like.
She is so full of it.
No, I've come a long way, but
I will tell you. The first time I went and walked a house with Amy, and I was like, okay, I'll show you how to film this stuff. You might have needed like an emotional support animal.
I probably did.
Like she was like, you want me to what? And I'm like, literally, you're just gonna like.
And you guys, this is hard because you're used to being good at things, right? Like, how many of you decide I'm gonna do something? You go in 100%, and you're like, I can kill this. I am good at this. And then for some reason, this little phone is like, makes it hard to be really good instantly. And so it's a frustrating mind game sometimes, especially when we're watching our teenage kids show up like they look like they woke up in the middle of the night, they look wrecked, and they're literally showing up on their phone, right? They do not care. And so here I am like, why do I care? And these kids, I mean, they're sending it to their boyfriend like that. Honestly. So the point of me saying anything is, as we go through, there are baby steps to get to what she's talking about. It is filming, and we're putting words over it. If you don't want your face on straight off of the door, you know, we can baby step it up. And so that's where.
Should we give them a couple of filming recipes?
Yes, I think so.
I think
there needs to be like
filming recipes.
Low impact, high impact. I haven't worked out for a really long time. Need the low impact.
I haven't worked out for a long time either.
So if that feels more comfortable to anybody.
We'll give you, first we're gonna film the footage. Just film the footage, okay? So there's a couple of shots. I feel like you do kind of approach things like having a shot list going into it, right? And so many are gonna be like, oh my gosh, but like I'm just by myself and blah, 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 what am I gonna do? So if I was by myself, I gotta take a drink. This is a great tripod, by the way. So if I was by myself and I'm filming, I will start outside the model home, and I'll be like, okay, I'm here at Capital West Homes. They have a really cool project in Gilbert. I don't know if you've heard about it. Let me show you around. You guys want to see inside? Okay, let's go. Right, and this is going to be posted on my stories. That's going to be my first story, and then I'm going to put like a scrolly thing where they can like slide the bar to be like, yeah, I want to go inside. I'm not doing that to be cute. Like that, no, I'm not. I'm doing that because when you get people sliding that bar, it shows your stories to more people. So you say, yep, slide that stupid bar. Great, I can play the game. Like, you gotta know the rules of the game if you want to win, right? So you say, okay, great, let's go inside, okay? Then I'm gonna turn my phone like this, and I'm gonna just show them like opening up the door, okay? And I'm going to film through, and I'm gonna be like narrating it as I go through. But I'm gonna use both pieces of video. One of my favorite hacks is to film in cinematic. If you film in cinematic, it feels super, super crisp. It takes a little bit of practice because it will focus, like it'll blur and sharpness. What's the sharpness?
Yeah, that's right.
But that's not the terminology. What is it? You're laughing at me. Like it when you're on cinematic and it like blurs and then focuses.
Focus.
Yeah, that's the word. So it will blur and focus on different things, okay? So I'm gonna narrate going over it because I can then post that on my stories, but then I also have that footage where I can put music over it, and I can say, oh, well, this is what $1 million looks like in Gilbert, Arizona, right? And I can show the exterior of the house, and then I can show touring through. My face isn't even on it. You don't always need to have your face on it, right? Now, if I'm going to have my face on it, one of the things I might do is I literally have used this as a tripod a million times. Let's say you have like this great, let's say this is this great exterior of the house behind me, okay? And I'm literally gonna put my Stanley on the ground like this, and I'm gonna 0.5 it, and like, do you know what that means when I say 0.5 it? Zoom out, thank you. I'm gonna just prop it like this, up against my Stanley, and I'm just gonna hit record. And I'm literally just going to walk in front of the house. Like, that's it. That's it. And you can slow that down, right? Because it needs to be like 5 to 7 seconds long. And I can say, oh, out showing houses today in Gilbert, Arizona. This is a da 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 da. And I can, and I know this is also going to sound silly, but like, wear something interesting. Mm-hmm. Like, that is part of your branding. That is part of your marketing. Like, wear something interesting, right? And it makes people like stop that scroll, and they're like, oh, okay, right? And then you can also do this in the kitchen. Like, just prop your phone up against something. And then in your reels, it can be like 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and you can like shift through your videos, right? And it's like you walking through. But some of those 2 or 3 seconds might be like you're not even in the frame. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So honestly, or how many of you have teenage kids? Raise your hand if you have teenage kids. Literally, they will film you. They will mock you the whole time they film you. But you'll survive.
You can mute them out.
It will be great.
You can put music over them.
Yeah. Like, they will turn into, you know, like, what do they call them? Instagram husbands. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? You can always tell. I have an Instagram son and daughter. But I can't tell you how many times, I'm not joking, at the time he was probably like 10 or 11, and I needed to go get footage, and I was like, get in the car, you're gonna come with me, and you're legitimately filming me through the house. Like, there's a reason I pay him on my taxes. They legit help in my business. Like, yeah, let's go. So the things that you wanna do is you wanna have about half your shots, maybe like 40% of your shots, you're in the shot. Mm-hmm. But another, like the other half, don't be in the shots. I would drive through the neighborhood and get all the exteriors. Like, just roll down your window, get all the exteriors. This is what winter in Gilbert, Arizona looks like. Wow, okay, everyone in Iowa is like, well, when do I move in, mm-hmm. right? So like thinking through that. What else am I missing? I just had
another thought as you were talking, back to the, baby stepping up. One of my favorite things I have to tell myself over and over again is 7 times said is once heard. 7 times said is once heard. Because so many times we show up, even if we're showing up once a week, we're like, oh my, that's gotta be so annoying to everybody. And they don't know. How many of you in here, I know one in particular, if you aren't showing up on your social, you've been an agent for X amount of years, you're not on your social, and you have people come up and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were still selling real estate. You're in real estate? Raise your hand if you have had that happen. Okay, so that is what I'm talking about, showing up on our Instagram over and over. And Amy has said it to me in other areas of something I have built a successful transaction arm. And that's something that's easy. It feels like it's not as personal where it's showing my face. I can show you how I have made that work for me. Showing up and showing my face and talking about something in particular has been a little bit harder for me. And she has said to me, what? Say it until it.
So you should be showing up on Instagram to the point that you are bugging yourself.
She's like, if you're not annoyed by yourself,
you're not talking about it enough.
And that is hard.
Well, think about how many times you tell your kids to brush your teeth by the time they're 10 years old. You say it 10 times every day for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And
that's true. Even your husband to take the garbage out.
No,
like how many times?
Toph now.
Yeah,
we got Toph. We ain't having
Merry Christmas, husband.
anymore. It's done.